I'm a Louisiana man, and I get hungry when the sun goes down. Well, Louisiana Maine can sure get hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, Daddy likes it thick and brown. Louisiana Maine get hungry when the sun goes down. Louisiana Maine gets hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, I like it thick and brown. I want something to satisfy that will never fail, something dark and substantial, honey, never thin and pale. Louisiana Maine gets hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, and Daddy likes it thick and brown. I like it rich and spicy with a full meaty taste. There's nothing left on my plate, honey, it's just dribbling off my face. Louisiana Maine gets hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, and Daddy likes it thick and brown. I like brown gravy, people, no matter what anybody say, and I like it caramelized about the shade of Beyonce, cause I'm a Louisiana man. Get hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, and Daddy likes it thick and brown. I like my gravy thick and brown. I like my gravy thick and brown, yeah, Louisiana Maine gets hungry when the sun goes down. I like gravy on my rice, Daddy likes it thick and brown. Hello everybody, my name is Brian Sivils, and I'm really happy that the library decided to bring me in for this songwriting workshop. We had it scheduled so I would be in several library branches, but obviously we can't do that. So I'm with you today by video, and you can look at this at any time, go back to it, and don't worry about taking notes. I'm going to make sure that my notes from this are available. My outline will be online, so when you watch the video, you can either download it before this video you watch it, or you can go and you can download it at any time and look at these notes in your leisure, okay? Well, I want to thank you so much because this songwriting workshop here today is going to be about songwriting basics, okay? So what we're going to talk about is things that as a really young songwriter, maybe you don't have a lot of musical training, maybe you have none at all, but at least you can think about what you want to do with your songs. And this is to kind of start you, for instance, my granddaughter is will be 14 years old this summer, and she's thinking about her music. She plays clarinet, she plays piano, she's written some poetry. We talked about this, and I said, Shannon, give me one of your poems and I will work on it as a song. And she goes, I can't do that, Big Papa, my songs are too cringy. So your songs are going to be bad when you first start out. Mine are still bad, many of them are awful. So don't worry too much about it. We're gathering tools so you can learn how to put songs together. That's what we're doing today. So a little bit about me. I was in the Air Force Band, and that gave me a lot of fundamentals and a lot of places that I could learn how to work on my music, and it was a great job. I was able to raise my family, but I performed with fabulous musicians, and within that organization we arranged music, we wrote music, we had special shows. For instance, we would do a patriotic themed show, and they would do a medley of maybe 10 or 15 different patriotic songs and kind of cram them all together. So arranging and songwriting is something, if you're going to be performing music on a regular basis, you're going to need this skill set. Okay? So, also I went to university. I went to ULM in Monroe. And I also ended up graduating from the University of State of New York. I ended up graduating once I was in the Air Force and finished college there. But I've been in gospel choirs and gospel groups, bands, a lot of different kinds of music my entire life, and I'm still performing some. So I want to bring a little bit of my experience having struggled with songwriting, struggled with arranging to make things work, and maybe help you, give you some shortcuts and give you some ideas. So we're going to talk today about some fundamentals of putting a song together. The three main elements that I want to talk to you about today about putting a song together is you've got lyrics, so you've got a story, because you're communicating with people. So you've got a story. You've also got a melody. Sometimes it starts as just a fragment of a melody, but you've got some kind of musical idea, a theme that goes through the song. And the other thing too is you're going to have to pick a musical style. So you've got to decide whether this is a country song, whether this is an alternative rock song, whether it's blues, soul, hip hop. And those are things that you're going to have to make a decision on, but those are elements of every single song that you're going to be working on. Three simple elements: a story, a melody, and some kind of style. Now, the lyrics will tell you everything you really need to know about what to do with the song. The story is embedded in those lyrics. So what I encourage you to do is start with a heck of a lot more words than you think you're going to need. Okay? So if you're writing a song, you're working on a poem, and don't worry about editing as it goes. Just let the pen flow. Write. Don't worry about rhyming necessarily. Don't worry about the rhythm. Don't worry about any of that kind of stuff. Put your idea down about it, sort of in story form, stanza form. Get it a little bit close so you can start to work with it. One of the things you're going to have to do is edit your lyrics. So you've written lots and lots of words. You've got all kind of ideas out for this song. You poured all your emotions, all your anger or pain or your happiness or your melancholy or whatever it is that you want to talk about in the song. You're putting all those things down in your lyrics and just write. Okay? Now the next thing you're probably going to need to do is move your words maybe from one verse to the next to get those things to make sense. And so maybe you had an idea in verse 2 and it would make a lot more sense if it's in verse 3 and vice versa. Then you can move those things around. So you're going to have to move verses from one verse to the next for better storytelling. And another thing to do is find a cadence to edit for smoothness. Okay? So when you actually decide how this melody is going to be put together with these words, you're going to find a natural rhythm that goes with it. It's almost like a walk. Okay? So there's going to be a rhythm built into each song, and that's going to tell you where to put the lyrics so that it really works with this song idea. For instance, you may drop words, like drop the word and, drop it. You may drop the person's name because you've already stated it earlier in the song. So when you start editing, you'll drop words, and what you're trying to do then is still tell the story, but now you're starting to work with the rhythm and the melody of the song when you do the editing. Now you're going to have to find a melody, and that's going to be a real interesting thing. Usually you walk around every day humming in your head, singing little songs in your head, making little things up. If you're here for a songwriting workshop, I know you're doing this because I do it. Okay? You're going to have little fragments of melodies, and so what I encourage you to do is kind of make notes of those. Okay? So you keep track of your little simple fragments that you've got for your melody. Now, another thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find the right key for whoever's going to be singing this. And initially, we're going to try to find the right key for you as a songwriter, okay? Because you're going to be doing what we would call the demo of your product, of your song. And that's a really important thing, is that we have to have the right key, and especially for a demo, one of the things that can happen if the demo's in the wrong key and it's not in a place where the singer sounds really good, then people might only hear the bad performance and not listen to the song to get an idea whether the song's any good or not. So we need to make sure the demos and the keys that you're singing in are pretty compatible with your voice or the voice of whoever's going to be singing the song for you. And the other thing too is we're going to use this cadence of the lyrics to guide us in finding these places where the melody works. So finding a cadence, finding a real natural way for the lyrics to flow is an important part of this process. Now, another thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to make some decisions on what kind of a style that we're going to be talking about for this song. And when I say style, what I'm talking about is this going to be country? Is this going to be rock? Is it a gospel song? Is it going to be hip hop? Is it alternative rock? There's all these different musical styles, and trust me, you can do a country version of a rock song, you can do a hip hop version of a country song. You can do these things if you're creative. So don't lock yourself into the idea that maybe I'm a country songwriter. I write rock songs, I write blues songs, I'm only doing rap, I'm only doing one style. Please just keep your mind a little more open about musical styles, and that will make you a more effective and a more polished songwriter. Normally at this point in my presentation, this is where we would start collecting ideas from different people that are in the audience and starting to work on your songs. Now, we obviously can't do that, and that's one of the reasons that the presentation may be a little shorter. Normally we're in this about an hour or so, and it's like 4 or 5 people sitting around in beanbag chairs, and we've got a couple of acoustic guitars, and we're just talking about ideas about songwriting. And the thing is, I encourage you to do that. Find some people that have interest in writing, whether it's poetry or songwriting, start hanging out with them. That's a really great way to start increasing your skill set when it comes to writing songs. So what we would work on, for instance, in this situation, are these things that we already discussed. Like what we'd be looking at is trying to find you a key signature. We'd be trying to show you how to take the lyrics that you wrote, and I'll give you an example. This is something that I put together today just to give you an idea about how you want to take words out of something to make it a little more musical. So I asked Shannon, my granddaughter, I said, what kind of songs are your friends writing? And she goes, well, you know, they're really cringy and sad, and sometimes a guy didn't want to date me, or you know, things were difficult. It's like, yep, everybody writes about those kind of things. So I just kind of sketched some ideas down and decided I wanted them not particularly formed up, but I was going to talk about them. So here we go. I wrote this lyric: I'm so sad and so blue, I guess it's all because of you. I'm really all messed up inside because what we had just died. Okay, that's like this kind of sad love song. And I edited it down so that it was easier to sing. And it's like, I am sad and blue, guess it's all because of you. You messed me up inside, what we had just died. So you can say the same thing, but if you cut some of the words out, you're going to be able to get it to rhyme and fall in place a little bit better. Okay? Now, the next thing is that we're going to, what we've got to do is we've got to find a melody, a fragment for the melody. Okay? And to do that, sometimes people will hum a little bit of something. Da 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 da. So da 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 da. Right? So it's just da 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 da. So now you have a melody fragment to work with, and this is one of those melodies you're just kind of walking around in your head to sing into yourself, and just keep those. Okay? You kind of be aware of them, keep singing to yourself, and you'll always have little song ideas in your head. So then we find a melody that works. The next thing is we have to find a key signature that's right for that singer. So what we would do, for instance, and this is my capo, so I can change keys really easy, is for me, in my range, this is kind of comfortable. La da 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 da. Now, if I had a much lower voice, or if I was a female singing in the bottom of her range, I might do it like this. Da 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 So we can change the key so that the song is more comfortable for that singer to perform in, and that helps you as a songwriter, whether you're singing or somebody else is singing, to make sure that your story gets told and your point gets across. Okay? And we found ourselves a melody. Now what are we going to do for a style? Okay? Now this particular song is, the idea that I was having initially was it's some kind of like alt rock kind of ballad. Okay? But let's see if it works that way. It might work as something else too. Da, da, da. See, and I lost my key. That happens all the time too. Da, 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 kind of alt, right? But you know what? You can do that as a blues tune too. Here we go. Da 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 da. See, the melody works as a little blues tune, or you can also kind of do it as a country song. Da da da. So we've got kind of 3 different versions of the song right there. And you'll have to experiment with those a little bit. Listen to, get familiar with how different styles kind of feel to you. And that will help you as you're putting your song together to find those things. So we find we have the right lyrics. We have to find the melody, which we did. And we find a right key for you, and then we find a style that's going to work for this song. That's basically how you're going to kind of work with this. Once you get your lyrics edited and you get a pretty good idea about how this thing is going to go, then you get to make some other decisions about your song. So we write lyrics, we edit lyrics, and then we start finding style and key signature and the things that are going to make it so that it's a listenable piece of music. Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about now at this point, since we just kind of played around with this song somewhat, is we're going to talk about the tools that you need to start putting songs together. Okay? Now, don't think of music and songwriting as some form of magic. Okay? Some people just have it, some people don't. Okay? There's an element of truth to that. Okay? Some people really do have really great musical skills that they're born with. Mozart. I mean, individuals sometimes are born like that. And some people inherit a really good singing voice. Now, I inherited a singing voice from my dad. His was better than mine, but, you know, I was close. The thing is, you have tools, and it's just a construction project. So you've got hammers and nails and saws and all these different things. So let's talk about the tools you need to help put your song together. Okay? Here's one of the tools. Make sure to keep a notebook. Write everything down. You need everything written down. Fragments of lyrics. And when you write a fragment of a lyric down, to make sure that your memory is still good, put something down like in the style of, and then put a name of some songwriter that reminds you of what you're kind of trying to go for when you had the idea. Or you can say, the melody is sort of like, and then you mention a songwriter and a particular song. So the melody is sort of like Happy Birthday. Just make little notes. And here's another thing too. Don't worry about being original. I mean, really. Just don't worry about it at all. Right now, all you need to do is start to learning the skills that you're going to need to put these songs together. And here's another thing too. There are 7 billion people on this planet. You know what all of them think? They all think they can write a hit song. So don't worry about competition. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Do your work. Do work on your own songs, and you will find an audience if you continue to work at it. Here's some more tools, and this is the stuff that gets really pedestrian, okay? People, once again, want to kind of think that there's mystery, some kind of magic, something really awesome that happens with songwriting, and from time to time, you will just write something down and it works instantly. I mean, the style falls in place, the lyrics kind of work, and the music happens quick, and I'll just about guarantee you that those are probably going to be very simple songs. The complicated ones take time. The pop music that you hear on the radio takes a lot of time. The music style has changed. So the people I'm going to talk to you about emulating and about studying are not really contemporary musicians, because that's a music industry that's way above our skill set, because we don't have the money and the time to produce those great pop records. We need to be able to do something with the tools we have, and the tools we're going to have are going to be our own songs, our own guitars, you know, and our own ability to edit. We're talking about something very personal, very small, and close to home. Don't worry about being original. It's just not that important. Don't copy someone directly. Okay, that's plagiarism. That's a whole different matter. Being derivative and having music that sounds like somebody else's, but it's your own, it happens every day, all day. So don't worry about that. Now, pedestrian tools, here we go. Reference material. You're not going to like this. Get a rhyming dictionary. Just get a dictionary, because some days you're just going to have a block and you're not going to know what rhymes with moon, and it's going to be spoon and you just totally forgot. It just happens. So get a rhyming dictionary, have access to one. And another one is a thesaurus. I know, it sounds like you're in an English lit class, doesn't it? Well, you are, sort of. You're trying to tell a story, and these are just tools that you need to get to that story and share it with people. Okay? Now, here's another thing. We talked about this already. Write a lot. Okay? Write a lot of songs. Write junk. Some of it will be brilliant. Most of it won't. And I will just tell you from my experience, 1 out of 100 of the things that I write are absolutely useless. I mean, I might get a fragment of an idea from one song and take it to something that I eventually use. But a lot of the stuff I do is just the exercise. It's like going to the gym, bench pressing, and then you go and work at your house carrying boxes. So think about it that way, that writing lots and lots of material is just kind of like going to the gym. It's just exercise. And there's another thing too. Use a piece of truth to tell a story. And here's what I mean. Somebody else's experience is not your experience. But as a songwriter, you can take that experience, make it first person, make it yours, and then expand on it, and it can be actually a totally different story. But you took a fragment from something that you saw in real life, and then you told a story around it. Now, if you ask my mother, I told a lot of stories when I was a child. So storytelling was something that was pretty common in our household. Take that piece of truth and then expand on it, and maybe take it out of context, but have fun with it and come up with a totally new story. Now, this is really important too, okay? Keep really good computer records. You know, you really hate to lose your work, and you will not remember it. I'll give you a good example. David Bowie was doing a live performance, and it was for Request. He was live doing Request. He wrote every single song that people were calling in and requesting. And you know what he had on stage? A music stand and a book full of lyrics. Because he wrote those and couldn't remember much of them. Because on tour, he learns a specific tour, a specific set of songs. In the studio, he may work for a week on one piece of music that he's on. But the idea of just getting up and winging through all the songs he's ever written is really kind of a crazy idea. He never did that. So when it came time for, like, okay, it's David Bowie, Human Jukebox, he had to pull his lyrics up. Okay? Always keep track of your computer files Make sure that they're named clearly and you have separate folders maybe for each piece of music that you're working on. But think about how you want to organize that. Now, it's a lot easier to work on a computer when you're editing, moving things around, than it is to scribble it through and do it on paper. I like doing both. I like making notes initially and then transferring all that raw material over to a regular Word document of some sort so I can keep those things, and then I get to like cut and paste and move lyrics around. So keep really good computer records and move things from verse to verse as you like. Now, one of the things is some people may not have a computer at their home, but this is being brought to you by your library. Guess who has computers for you to use for free? Your library. So there's always a place you can go to like work on your songs, and ask some of those librarians if maybe they'll help you a little bit. I guarantee you they probably will jump right in there because everybody likes something different in their day and they'll like a challenge, and librarians are there because they like you. Okay? So always look at the resources that your library has when it comes for songwriting and computer usage and those kind of things. Here's another tool. This is pretty dadgum important. You're going to need some musical skills to make this work. Maybe not because you're going to sing. Many songwriters do not sing. And many of them have very limited like musical skills. A lot of them do. Elton John's music, the lyrics were primarily written by another man, and he did the music, so they were a songwriting team. So you don't necessarily have to write the lyrics, and you don't necessarily have to write the music. You may want to collaborate with somebody. But you do need to know enough about music, about chords, about maybe instruments, to communicate intelligently with all the other people that are part of the process of bringing your ideas to fruit and making music out of them. Okay? So I encourage you to start picking up some musical skills, and it'd either be a chord instrument like guitar or piano. And if you pick up some of that, it'll at least get you started. Okay? No one's expecting you to go out and get a music degree. No one is expecting you to spend all your time just learning guitar notes and learning piano notes if you just want to be a songwriter. But you do need to know enough to at least converse with other musicians. And you're going to need to learn some basic music theory. Now, music theory is how we as musicians understand how it works, how the chords work, how rhythm works, how bar lines work, and all these kind of technical things about writing music that most pop songwriters really don't have to have that. But you do need a basic idea about how chords work with each other, what chords will work together within a song, okay? So you do need some background in music of some sort. And here's another thing that's pretty dadgum critical. Learn your voice. And what I mean by learn your voice is, how high can I sing? Okay? How high can I sing without it starting to sound bad? How low can I sing without the lyrics just disappearing and everything sounding like a mumble? So you're going to have to find a way to find a range where your voice is articulate and people can understand the words that you're singing, so that you can communicate your song idea to them. So that's it. We're going to have to like find your voice and find how high you can sing and what part of the range is best for you. So that's an important tool. Now, here's another thing that gets right down to it. Okay? We're going to assume you've gone through this process where you've been given a song idea or you came up with a song idea. Okay? And you've found your story and your melody and you picked a style. You've worked through the lyrics, you've edited them, you've spent lots of time on this work, okay? You spent all your skills, I mean, and you've just been sitting in your room like this is your child. It's your baby, you made it. Now, do you want someone else to come in and take your baby? You absolutely do not want someone coming in and taking your song, right? Jimmy Davis had this problem. Okay, he was the governor of Louisiana. He wrote "You Are My Sunshine," and he constantly had people trying to get a piece of the action, claiming they were in a band with him, or they saw him, or that they helped him write "You Are My Sunshine." But at the end of the day, he had some songwriting partners. He paid them for their part, and he ended up owning that song outright. "You Are My Sunshine." I think this is a real good example of why you should protect your work. Here's the thing. There's value in your song. It's valuable to you. It could be valuable to other people. That song is your creative property. You own it. No one should take your song from you. How do you protect it? There's a couple of ways. Really easy one is that you record a rough copy of that song early. If you record it just you and an acoustic guitar, and you track it on your iPhone and say email it to a friend, okay? You've just shown first use of that song as long as it's not plagiarized. If you really wrote the song, it's yours. Traditionally, you copyright a song, you go through the Library of Congress, they'll have copies of it on file. I've done some of my music that way, but the simple fact of the matter is I'm not selling a lot of songs to movies, and I don't have a lot of things being played on radios, even though there are some streaming services that have my music. I don't really need to worry about someone stealing a song that I wrote, like Thick and Brown, which is a song about Louisiana food and gravy. I don't need to worry about that. It's not that popular. I think it's a great song. I don't want anybody stealing it, okay? But that doesn't mean that the likelihood is that someone's going to say, oh boy, let's steal this guy's song. So what do? Record a rough copy, mail it to yourself, or do something, use it with somebody. That's first use. Here's another thing. If you're like hanging around other musicians, like your other buddies are coming around while you're trying to write a song, only your name should be on that. Unless they sit down with you and help you edit those lyrics and really help you with your guitar parts, they are not co-songwriters. Just because they're hanging out when that work gets done does not mean that they own part of that song. You are the songwriter. You're the only name that should be on it unless you agree to be in a partnership with somebody else. Okay, so far with tools, we've talked about making sure you document everything by having a notebook, reference material, that you write a lot. Start to develop your musical skills, and you protect your work. Now, the next thing I'm going to mention to you is something that's it's critically important, because you're going to be writing pretty simple songs earlier in your career. One thing is, if you want any other musicians to perform them, it's got to be up to their skill set. You can't write really complicated music and then have people who are part-time performers do a very good job of it. So I'm going to suggest some songwriters for you to study that have been influential for me, and I think they'll get you on the right track. Okay? So the thing about these songs is they're simple songs that these writers wrote. Okay? The lyrics are great. I mean, the people that wrote these songs are stellar songwriters. They're the best songwriters in pop music, but they write these really incredibly simple songs. And the styles of these are going to be mostly country and blues, because those are going to be the fundamental musical styles that all American pop music is built on anyway. So if you're building your music career and you're starting as a songwriter, you really need to learn songs by these early performers. So here we go. I suggest that you listen to Hank Williams. Hank was a simple songwriter, but the songs were powerful. They covered a lot of subject matter. He wrote gospel songs. He wrote honky-tonkin' bar songs. He wrote some of the saddest music ever written for country music. Hank Williams will teach you a lot about songwriting. I really encourage you to listen to Hank Williams. Another great country songwriter is Johnny Cash. Once again, similar time period, except that Johnny lived a lot longer. He had a longer career, and he covered a wide variety of musical styles too, but the stuff that he wrote was straight country, simple, hard stories, and very descriptive. And another great songwriter is Willie Nelson. These are great songwriters, and their music lives on and will live on because partially is the stories are great, but the music is really easy to get to be, the music's accessible, okay? The music is right there for you. You don't have to have a lot of musical knowledge. You don't have to play music to appreciate it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Those songs are right there for you. In the blues genre, since we talked about doing relatively simple, accessible types of music like country and blues, we have Muddy Waters. Now, Muddy Waters was the first really big star in electric blues, okay? And what that means is that this was like the thing that really kicked off and made rock and roll possible, was the electrification of blues. And it just, blues turned into rock and roll totally changed popular music forever. So Muddy Waters is really important because the songs are descriptive and kind of simple, and they have a really great, what we would call in the music business, pocket, meaning the style. It was danceable, it was fun to listen to. It's just, I enjoy it a great deal, but musically it's very substantial stuff to listen to. So there's Muddy Waters. And the next person would be Chuck Berry, as far as a really great early rock and blues songwriter. All you have to do is look up Chuck Berry, and you're going to see all these great songs. You're going to see Sweet Little 16, Maybelline, No Particular Place to Go, My Ding-a-Ling. This is lots and lots of fun Chuck Berry songs, okay? And once again, the song structure is pretty dadgum simple, okay? But it's the ideas, because the songs are such simple structure, the ideas rise out of it, and it really is a great contrast between these wonderful ideas and simple songs, and they really work together well. Another great songwriter from that period of time is Willie Dixon. And Willie Dixon wrote many of the songs that you hear in pop music that other people have performed. So all this information is going to be in the handout, and it's going to be available for download. So like I said, don't worry about taking notes. We're just having some fun here and just kind of spitballing ideas about songwriting. Okay, now I'm going to recommend some women songwriters to you, and I think it's important for men and women to listen to these songwriters. A woman's perspective is a very important perspective to have in pop music. I'm thinking since over 50% of the world population is female, it might be important that you have a way to, to be in touch with them. So here are some really great women songwriters from earlier periods of time. Once again, simple songs, great imagery, okay? Memphis Minnie. Memphis Minnie was a blues musician and a very prominent songwriter early in the 20s and 30s. She was rough. I mean, she fought her way out of nightclubs and bars and had 3 or 4 husbands and married her guitar players, and that's how she kept them around and kept them under control. She was a tough lady, and her story is great, and her songs are even better. It's just a wonderful music to listen to. Very empowering for a woman in that period of time to be writing songs about taking control of her own business interest and deciding she was done with her man and he's out. So, Memphis Minnie. Another one is really great, Dolly Parton. I think Dolly Parton is a songwriter everyone can learn a lot from. One of the things is it's the same kind of story. The songs are simple, but the imagery is what makes that song so special, okay? That it's your ability to actually visualize what they're singing about is one of the things that makes these songwriters so great. And Dolly Parton has got a huge library of wonderful music. Also, Loretta Lynn. Now, Loretta Lynn was an empowered woman, okay? You just listen to the music, it seems like that someone had the family life that she did would be very subservient and very mild and meek, but if you listen to her music, when she sings, "You ain't woman enough to take my man," she means it. And when she tells you, "I'm taking you to Fist City," you believe it. So I suggest listening to these 3 women also, Memphis Minnie, Dolly Parton, and Loretta Lynn. And I've told you earlier that we're going to make the handout notes available to you, and you'll be able to download them online, so don't worry about taking notes. Just listen, let's just have some fun. So the next thing we're going to do now, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how you, some things to look out for. Okay. The thing about the music business in entertaining and songwriting, do the music part for you. Do the songwriting for you, okay? Don't worry at this point about anyone else hearing it, about making money, about being on a showcase, or any of that stuff. Don't worry about that yet. Put a little bit of time behind you as a songwriter and an entertainer before you actually start being too concerned with it. There's no guarantee of success. You will spend a lot of work and get no results from it. I've been doing this for 62 years. I've been singing since I was just born. You know, I really was. And I guarantee you there is no, the success that you have will be the success that you have in your heart as a songwriter. Maybe you'll make money at it, and the industry is very difficult. But again, there's no guarantee of success. Write for yourself. And you are your own competition. And what I mean by that is, if you write a hit song's been written. And what makes it a hit is the fact that other people instantly latch onto it. Okay? So what that means is, as your own competition, what songwriter B is doing has nothing to do with you as songwriter A. That unless there is an actual songwriting competition, but generally that's not that often. People just write material, try to get it performed, and try to get it published. Compete against yourself. Learn new skills, find new outlets for your music, find new people to perform that get your musical vision closer to what you're hearing in your head. So put that work in it like that. You're your own competition, and put your own work into it, and I think you'll see some really great results. Now here's another thing to be careful of. If you do go into music as a profession, if you are really looking forward to trying to make a living at it, because boy, this is what I want to do. I've always wanted to be a singer. I bet you have a great time singing for a living. Yeah, I do, but I also don't enjoy loading trucks at 2 o'clock in the morning all that much. I don't enjoy spending money out of my pocket to pay for a PA system that a lot of other people are going to use. There are some things about turning your songwriting and your music performance into a livelihood that have some real downsides, okay? You're turning your passion, the thing that you love, into a hustle. Well, I want to thank you so much for tuning into this video. I want to really thank the librarians for deciding to include this in summer programming. This is a really unusual time for us. Like I said, as normally I'd be sitting in a room, we'd have 4 or 5, 6 or 7 people. We're talking about their individual songs, and we're kind of covering all this material, and it's loads of fun, and we're all sitting around kind of like on beanbags, you know, we're having a great time. But we can't do that. So what I want to do here is we're just going to review some of these things, and once again, all this material is going to be available to you online. You can pull it down and kind of review. So every song's got 3 elements to it. There's a story, there's a melody, and there's some kind of musical style that drives it. Okay? So a story, a melody, and whether it's country or rock or blues or something like that. So you've got those 3 ideas. The lyrics will tell you everything. The lyrics will tell you what style needs to be done. They will tell you what the form of the song needs to be, because the words will be of certain length. And it'll also, the lyrics will create a mood. Well-written lyrics will put you in a certain kind of mood. And those things will tell you everything you need to know about arranging this song and getting it written and getting it published. You're going to have to edit your lyrics. So what I'm suggesting is you start with a lot of lyrics, more verses and stuff than you need. Move the words from verse to verse if they just don't fit. And find a cadence, kind of way that the words seem to go sing, song, sing, song, sing, song. They kind of have a little balance to it. Almost like you could walk to it while you're saying the words. And that's your cadence. And remember, if a line doesn't fit, don't throw it away. Move it aside. We may want to use it for a bridge or a chorus or some other part of the song. Find your melody. Start with a really simple little fragment and find the right key for the singer and use that cadence of the lyrics to guide you. And then we're going to try to find a right style for you. Find the one that's right for the lyrics. Like if it's about being in a hayfield, country might work. You know, if it's you're talking about walking the streets of Manhattan, probably country is not so good. But maybe, who knows? Maybe you're some country guy stuck in Manhattan. All right? And find a style maybe that has an appeal to an audience. Like, make sure that people like it. You know, try to. You want your song to be successful. And another thing too is, as you're working through this, change the style. Take this country song you wrote and do it as a blues song. Take this blues song that you wrote, do it as country. Take this alternative rock song that you did and try doing it as a hip hop song or a rap song. So the same lyrics can do widely different things for you. Was there a moment that burns rampant in my head, rolling on forever, just another unpaid debt, been rewriting memories for so long, can't tell the dream from what is true, is that empty hole inside my soul pitch black, deep Delta blue. Drop my foot down on the floor to stop my spinning bed. Wonder where I went to get my desperation fed. Face the sun in the grasp of my best friend, stumbling to the street. It's all I can do. You may see a muddy river, but when I drank, it's always Delta blues. More than half a man, not afraid of my own mind, I'd turn right and head south down Highway 49. And when I get to Jackson, turn that town upside down if I have to. We're gonna clear the air and come to where the sky is always Delta blue. Well, I'm going to conclude today. Thank you so much for joining us on this video. I want to thank the librarians once again for including this as part of the summer reading program. Thank you for joining me. I'm Brian Sivils, and this has been a songwriting workshop. And we sure hope that this helps you on your journey toward learning to become an aspiring songwriter. Thank you.